So welcome to non-sensible second-hand classics. This is a 1979 Land Rover Series III lightweight, in inverted commas. I think I have to put those on. This is not the kind of thing we normally feature on the channel. Nevertheless, some of you out there have suggested that we have a classic Land Rover. And this is a classic Land Rover. It doesn't look like it by the headlining, but it certainly is. Yes, it's interesting. So the Series III Land Rover was introduced in 1971. This lightweight model, which had been introduced in the late 60s with the Series IIA, came in 72. They actually made these until 1984. It doesn't really feel like a car from 1979 at all. It feels like a car from the sort of mid-50s, which I suppose it is. The Series II came out in 1958, and that's also about the era of the engine, which is a 2.25 litre four-cylinder, in this case generating 74 horsepower. I think in some other markets it generated maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. I've heard 77 and things like that. The other alternatives were a 86 brake horsepower 2.6 six-cylinder, but it's related, I think, to the one that's actually in the P5, but it's more like this capacity of one in the something like Rover hundreds. That actually lasted until about 1980. The other Series 3 engine option was a V8. That came in around the time of the discontinuation of the six-cylinder in 1980. It was massively detuned though to around 91 horsepower. There are also some diesels available, but as usual, due to controversial government legislation and all kinds of other reasons, we don't talk about diesels on this channel. So yeah, this 2.25 litre petrol engine is actually just developed for Land Rover. They did put it into the Rover 80 with the P4s as well. They wanted something as like a sort of baby brother to the Rover 100, but it just sort of indestructible. It just kind of kept going. I think variations of this engine were made until the mid-1990s. There was a 2.5 litre version of this engine in the Land Rover Defender. To drive, this is just extraordinary. Everything is just kind of not what you expect. The gear shift is really weird. First and second have virtually no travel at all, and the gearbox is sprung around first and second, and not third and fourth. So third and fourth are right over to the right hand side. It's very similar to set up on like a P4. The engine's quite torquey. I'm just leaving it in seconds, just driving along slowly, which is all I can really manage. Fortunately, I'm not really holding up traffic, but there are other things in front of me, and that's really for the best. The pedals are just ever so uncomfortable for me. There is no adjustment for anything. The seat doesn't adjust, the steering wheel doesn't adjust. I'm just trying to sort of think of myself as Timothy Dalton in that sequence of A Living Daylight at the beginning. And the baddies driving the Series 3 Land Rover down the Rock of Gibraltar, knocking over car doors and monkeys flying out of the way. He's got explosives on the back, and he probably jumped off the back of the parachute, went over the cliff, because he wasn't particularly fond of having to drive one of these back to base. That's probably why he did what he did. This one has been, well, modified slightly. We've got these red seat belts in it. We've also got this remarkable headlining, which I don't think was in the designer's interest when these cars were made for the military at all. When they brought these out, they were actually supposed to be slung under a helicopter, but they needed to actually meet a target of £2,500, and they don't quite do that unless you actually take everything off. The actual weight of one of these with all the bits attached is a bit more than that. It's actually a bit closer to the standard lightweight ones, but because you can take the bits off, it kind of counted. Okay viewers, the mount did fall off the screen, but we've parked up and we're going to have a look at the exterior and interior of this Series 3 lightweight. Of course, straight away you can see these headlamps have been upgraded because the original ones wouldn't have been the best. So different looking from a normal Series 3, most certainly, and checker plate on there, classic sort of thing that people do to their old Land Rovers, and yeah, I think that's pretty appropriate for this actually. Little tow hitches and things like that in case you get stuck in a ditch, that's probably a good idea. This sun visor thing on here, that is responsible for my kind of driving in a very hunched position, because otherwise I can't actually see out the front unless I hunch down, which is interesting. Classic Land Rover plastic mirrors. This is the 88-inch wheelbase version. That was the only wheelbase I think you get on the lightweight ones. On the other Series 3s you could get a 109 as well, of course. I think on the later ones you could get a 127 when the sort of counties came out, but I might be wrong about that. Also got things to help us out if we get stuck in a snowbank, that's always good. These I think are kind of standard specification rear lights of these. This is a later one, so it has the slightly different ones. And it is, of course, ultra low emission zone exempt, because it's a 79, so you can drive this into the ultra low emission zone and have no problems. Gas and charge, I don't think so, it could be wrong, but ultra low emission zone, absolutely fine. Tyres on this are just absolutely enormous. They're not that wide, but they are just huge. Absolutely vast. The wheels aren't that big, they're 16s, but tyres are huge. Leaf springs, of course, at the back. The exhaust is shooting this way, which is interesting. If we open it up, the classic door handles off the series Land Rovers. And the interior door, it doesn't look too bad being there, but if you actually sit on the seat and try to open it, you kind of find it's sort of in the wrong place. I don't actually know what this does. Who knows? I don't know. Little bunny there. He's a bit sort of dog-eared, a little bit kind of like, you know, me trying to drive this car, looking a little bit scared and dog-eared. So if I climb in, use the wheel to do this, it's not the best position really because I'm extremely close to the wheel. I'd like to go a lot further back, but I can't because these seats, and this has been retrimmed. It is an original Series 3 seat. It's just been a bit retrimmed. Oh, you can fold that back like that. There we go, if you want to. Don't think you really want to sit somebody in there. I mean, you could sit somebody on top of there if you really want, but you've got to adjust all these gears and things. And there's the normal gear lever. That's the overdrive gear lever. Now these two, let me get this right. One of them is for doing 4 high. Sorry. One is to doing 4 low, and the other one is 2 low and 4 high, which really confuses me. You can see that the instruments should be like here, and you can see, here's my view. You can see why I can't really see very much. It's this just in the way. Obviously in the summer that's better. Rear view mirror, now that's okay, but as you can see the rear's a bit steamed up and there's no heated rear window, so that's just the way that it is. Got these, I think these are heater vents going here. This is ventilation to sort of adjust this front panel there. I'm not going to, you can see actually it does actually open. That's the ventilation there, viewers. This lever here, that's the choke lever. My gosh, look at all these. That is the wiper control. It's a single speed wiper on this, and there is an electric washer, which is nice. It's not a Morris Minor. You do get electric washers. And on here, here's the ejector seat. We really are in a Bond specification vehicle. which is good, because we like the Bond films on this channel, viewers. It's the sort of thing that we like. The seat belts are non-original. They actually were £15 on eBay apparently, but I'm very glad they're there, because I don't like fixed seat belts, if you haven't already noticed from the many years I've been complaining about that on the channel. Just move the bag out of the way here. Oh, there's a big storage box here. You can get all kinds of things. Excellent. That's handy. Little belts and things. Various kind of warning lights. The indicator do make a funny noise. You probably heard that when I was driving. We just find out what this control in the middle is here.
You got air horns.
Okay, viewers. So if I press this button, what happens? Oh, it just turns the interior light on. Oh well. Hazards are actually this one here. These are the headlamps. It's really strange. You've got two convoy modes. I don't know what S convoy is, but that's convoy mode. Off, just for tail lights for some reason. But you've got side lights and tail lights, and then you've got headlights, side lights, and tail lights together. But it has got a flasher as well on here, and that is a dip switch as well with the horn, which is kind of similar to Minis and you know, lots of other British Leyland stuff. We do actually have a plaque on this saying that it was made under British Leyland, which of course it was. Yeah, the doors are well, they're as basic as it comes. There's actually not even a door handle to pull the door closed. You sort of just demonstrate this without falling out. You just put your finger in here and just pull it. Check straps on this side. This one works. The other side doesn't. I'm just got to be mindful of that. And I think that's for wiper motor, just kind of there as well. But it's for wiper motor. So yeah, there's not really much in the way of luxury views. The Range Rover that was being made at the same time as this is quite different. And then we've got a cigarette lighter just right down there. As I think I've mentioned, the Series 3 normal ones, they had a completely different dashboard in them. It was a more sort of safety type dashboard. This is not a safety type dashboard at all. This is obviously off a much older type of Land Rover. I think it's off the Series 2A. It's had a similar one to this. And yeah, the steering, well, yeah, we'll discuss that later, viewers. I think that's the best thing. What are you looking at? Okay, viewers, this is for stopping the side windows coming open. If you put it down, you can just move them and then put it back, put that up, and then they don't move. That's all it is. It's not the most exciting thing ever. There we can see Rover British Leyland UK Limited, manufactured in Solihull. There we go. Maximum vehicle weight and rear axle weight, front weight, all these things you need to know. Presumably if you're in the military and slugging these things under helicopters and all that sort of stuff. Right, let's take a look at this wonderful four-cylinder engine. So here we are, viewers, the wonderful Land Rover four-cylinder engine. It began life in 1958. It was based on an engine we can't talk about that was brought out even earlier, but it went on until 85 in this form. Generates around 74 horsepower, slightly different depending on market. And we do have some air horns here, viewers. Which is, I suppose it's nice. It sort of goes with the kind of general aesthetic of the car, I think. If you want to do roadside repairs, it doesn't actually look that complicated in there. Of course, it has to be simple. It has to be easy to work on. If you get stranded in the middle of nowhere, in a lightweight Land Rover that you've been dropped off by a helicopter in. Yeah, that's it's not really much to sort of say. The general sort of servicing, I'm sure you can get bits, because you can get lots of Land Rover bits. And I think someone did a report in the early 90s and said that like 70% of all Land Rovers made up until that point were still on the road, which is interesting. Fuel tanks either side. This is the driver's side one. There is one on the passenger side, and that's it. You slide this back and forth to get it in. Just slide that back. It sort of locks in place, and then the squab just lifts out. That's sort of the only catch there. So if somebody hits you on the side, The doors are lightweight, like the rest of it, apparently. You die in a huge, massive fireball. That's just like the chap in The Living Daylights. He dies in a huge fireball. That's nice. Of course, being one of these series Land Rovers, the majority of the car is an aluminium alloy. I think it's called Burma-Bright. You can see bits of tiny sort of specks of rust on it, but that's because this bulkhead area is actually steel. And so is this front panel here. The rest of it is Burma-Bright. Obviously the chassis is not, that's steel. And that's nice and well protected, and there's a lovely leaf spring back there. When you're in convoy mode with the headlamps, the differential is actually white. You can see it just down there. That's what convoy mode is for, so you can see the differential of the car in front of you. Obviously the car wouldn't normally have been white. It would have been that sort of military green. So at night when you're driving along, you can see where your chap in front is. I don't know if we're going to take this panel entirely off, because it is a little bit complicated to undo all this. We'll do the top bit. I think that's actually off a series. It's off a Series 2A, this top bit, and this is obviously not off a lightweight. This is off a Series 3, the whole rest of the top bit. But we'll open at the back and see what lies within. Right, I've decided that I'm not doing this. I'm going to let Alex do this, because it's going to be easier for me rather than fiddling around with bits. Nice demonstrator. There we go. So you put your comrades in the back. The spare wheel normally wouldn't actually be in here, it would be on the bonnet, but because it's really, really heavy, it's best to have it here. It's a bit easier to lift it in and out. See, we've got our shell case there, which is good. We used to sort of fire some rockets out the back if the enemies are following us, and we can obviously do that. I don't know if you would have had like seats in the back of here, but maybe, you know, the chaps are so hard they don't need actual sort of padding to sit on, and, you know, nighttime missions and things like that. So if you really wanted to, you could probably fit an extra 4 people in the back of here. It wouldn't be very comfortable, but that's not really what this is about. It's about utility and not comfort. Right, I think it's time for me to go to another drive, and this time hopefully the camera won't actually fall off the windscreen. Lloyd Vehicle Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below. Right viewers, we have reattached the camera mount. I've actually managed to get a gear. This doesn't have a reheated window at all, so everything behind me is really, really steamed up, which is more entertainment. Alex of Alex's Assets is the lady who owns this Land Rover, and you know, she's had it for a really, really long time, like 15 years or more, so she's used to it. I'm finding this rather entertaining, but not possibly the easiest mode of transport, especially with the brake is about a foot higher than the clutch. It's kind of hilarious. Sorry, that's probably not good for the sound. Let's just see if we can find it. There we go first. Okay, let's see if we can set off again. Yes. Yeah, the steering's unassisted. It doesn't seem to be actually that bad. That's not really the problem, the lack of power assistance. The thing is, the steering is vaguer than a very vague vlog. It's even worse than one of those. And you're sort of wandering along the road. I mean, you've got these other sort of funny gear levers that do other things. You've got an overdrive gear lever here. You've got one for 4 low and one for 4 high, and all sorts of things. And you know, I'm sort of too tall in the body to sit here, because I can't really see out of the front of the thing at all. Unless I do this, I can't see out the front. Also, the speedometer is completely wrong. The kph reading is correct, the miles per hour reading is not. So it's also down to the left, right out of my line of sight. On a normal Series 3, it'd be right in front of me. Because this is a lightweight, it's not. One thing I am grateful for is the fact that this has a normal Series 3 gearbox in it. There we go, found a gear. So it actually got synchromash on first, which the normal lightweights didn't. They didn't get synchromesh on second either initially when they were the Series 2As. So you had to be someone of, you know, the strength of Sean Connery to actually manhandle this thing down the military track, because these ones weren't available at all to civilians until they were decommissioned by the MOD. So this one's been painted several times. This is its current colour, with the jazzy headlining, of course, as well. The engine is very torquey. The engine's quite forgiving, which is good. The rest of it, not really. And also, ventilation's this funny thing here. The heater's only got one setting, and it's got a metal dash like all the lightweights had. Even the Series 3s didn't get the sort of plastic dash. So if you had any incidents while you were out being chased by the enemy and you happen to hit a tree, you're going to come off a lot worse, wherever your face is. So yes, it's entertaining. It's not something perhaps I'd want to drive all the way to the south of France, let's put it that way. And also the lighting is really quite bad in here as well. I'm sorry, it looks like I'm kind of at the back of a nightclub. So viewers, should you buy a Land Rover Series 3 with your hard-earned budget up to £5,000? Is that even possible these days? Well, surprisingly, yes. You can sometimes pick up project ones that, you know, start and drive. And bear in mind, the majority of Series 3s are now MOT exempt. I would advise you clearly to have an MOT on something this old, particularly if it's been standing. But if you just want to see if something runs around, you just want to use it on a farm or something like that, and obviously a lot of people did use Series 3s on a farm, then that might be an option. You've got to pay a little bit more for a lightweight like this one. They start at about £6,000, but you can go as high as you want. If you want, I don't know, a V8 engine one, or one of those sort of 109 station wagons, or possibly the sort of county spec thing, that's going to be a bit more as well. But does this actually count as sensible? No, not really, unless you are someone who kind of you know, absolutely runs up and down tracks everywhere in forests. Then that, you know, that might be good. For road use, not the best ever. Is it fun? Yes. Is it terrifying? Yes. Is it charming? Yes. Do I need to get one of these so I can pretend to be Timothy Dalton? I think I prefer one of the Audis that he had, the Audi 200 Quattro. I'll have one of those maybe instead, personally, for me. But I understand why people like these. This would take me a long time to get used to, but it is enormous fun if you can actually get your mentality in the right place. So thank you for watching this episode of, well, non-sensible second-hand classics. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below. Have a look at Alex's channel for more videos on this and all her other interesting cars. This is the most modern one she owns, and we shall see you soon for more reasonably priced nostalgic motoring. 3, 4.